Hello friends, what is up? It's your girl Katie DaisyHeart here with another video, and today we'll be discussing whether or not the WIZARD101 community is toxic. And as a quick disclaimer, I completely understand everyone has their own experience and opinions, which are all valid. But this is simply an analysis video which will end up with my own personal conclusion. Regardless of what I think, I would love to hear your output in the comment section below. Before I immediately jump into explaining why I feel the way I do, I decided to ask you guys what you guys thought. For future reference, make sure to check out my community tab for more polls like this for a chance to be featured in one of my videos. Up front, you guys know I had to ask, do you think the WIZARD101 community is toxic? And if so, why? And out of 121 voters, okay, 121, 76% of people said that they thought, indeed, yes, WIZARD101 is very much toxic. I really thought this was going to be a lot more evened out, but it's really... We're not starting off so good if that much of the community is like, hey, this is kind of toxic. Of course, I completely understand my data will be limited as I don't have an extremely huge audience, so this is simply a generalization on the people who did vote and the people who are currently active. Elaborating on why they thought whether or not WIZARD101 was toxic, these were some of the responses I received. It does have a sweet side, but I'd say it's only like 30% of the community. The other percent I would say is toxic. People are always making fun of each other, whether it's their playstyle or just because they don't have ideal stats. And there's a lot more, but I'm not even going to go into that because you can probably imagine what I'm thinking. My humble opinion, and I see that by the polls, is the minority. Now, let me explain. The toxicity is mainly focused on PvP players, those that mainly like other activities, and PvE, my interactions have been really positive, and they are mostly awesome players. You might find toxic people in certain areas while doing PvE, for example, farming hotspots, cause why? PvP players are there farming. In conclusion, PvP players, most of you are annoying without a reason. Oh my god, wait, I didn't read that last part. If we're comparing it to other MMO communities, absolutely not. There's toxic people everywhere you look in life, but WIZARD101 hardly compares when it comes to most other games I've played. Following this comment in particular, I actually heavily agree with this, and I myself have been a victim to cyberbullies because my playstyle was quote-unquote not ideal. I was actually very nervous to start this channel, as with every video and stream, I am still learning, and I'm not afraid to admit that despite how long I've been playing. I recall one of my first streams on Twitch, and I had a few new viewers pour in, and they immediately began painfully judging my playstyle and being rude had I not immediately followed the rule. Of course, then compared to now, I truly had even more to learn, but there is a huge difference between critiquing and giving advice so one can improve their playstyle in comparison to judging and being harsh about the way that they play and making them sad. Before that, I remember I had just started this channel, and I very quickly befriended this individual who seemed very sweet and helpful. I recall one day inviting him to help me take a lower level wizard through Winterbane, and I admit at this time there was a lot of knowledge that I lacked. For example, I didn't really keep updated with my enchantments, and my stats were definitely lacking. But pardon, this was a friend of mine whom I had known to help me. I recall all of a sudden he began to act odd and extremely crude to the individual I was helping. And pardon, this person was personally messaging me, asking why my friend was being this way towards him. It got to a point where I kindly asked this friend to leave, and the remarks he made after that were extremely inappropriate, and eventually some racist remarks were made. On top of that, suddenly this quote-unquote friend who supported me and was previously trying to help me was now standing around outside of the battle and mocking how long it was taking me to finish the battle. Since this encounter, I've been very lucky to be surrounded by more positive people, but I've most definitely been criticized myself for the way that I play, even if people were my friends at first glance. Now, regarding Hannah's comment, I absolutely agree, and this is how I myself view every community. Not every community is going to be sunshine and rainbows, as realistically in our real lives, not everyone is positive, happy, and kind. The way I myself view it is you will see what you want of the community as you will in real life. By that I mean if you surround yourself with more positive people in your real life, you'll have a more positive aspect on life in comparison to someone who allows negativity in their life. Of course, sometimes negativity will seem to attract more than positivity, but that's why we have to keep our heads up and manifest the good vibes to come, as I can tell you now, I have met some of the best people off of WIZARD101, and I can promise you that. I also personally feel like there is definitely a fraction of individuals who play WIZARD101 who feel some sort of entitlement. By that, I've noticed people will do things for people, but at a cost. And no, I'm not talking about a trade that was agreed upon. I'm talking about pressuring someone into doing something for you after doing something kind for them. For example, you give someone a pack, but now you're asking for something that was not initially agreed on, and now you're pressuring them into doing something for you, whether that be helping you with questing or whatnot because you're nice, but really you're just trying to get a favor. The story I'm about to tell you is definitely on the more extreme side of this, but I believe I should openly tell it to let people know that you are not obligated to do things for anyone if they quote-unquote choose to do a kind thing for you. When I was about 12 or 13, I was playing WIZARD101 religiously. Not professionally, I was a wimp, but that didn't stop my hours of gameplay despite only getting up to level 20, okay? I was obsessed with leopards, okay? They were my absolute favorite, and I remember a dream of mine was to get the leopard from the crown shop. At this point, I was a baby, okay, and I didn't understand the concept of hatching, so don't judge me too hard. I remember meeting this guy who acted extremely nice to me in WIZARD101. I don't recall if we ever exchanged ages though, but every time I got on, I was always hanging out with him despite my laggy Windows XP taking hours and hours to load WIZARD101. I always wanted the leopard in WIZARD101, and one day he took it into his hands to gift it to me. Now mind you, I am a person who will repeatedly thank you if you do anything for me, okay? I take kindness very personally, and I always make remarks like, "Is there anything I can do for you?" Or "Are you sure?" I asked if there was anything I could do to repay him, and I don't really know what sort of response I was expecting to receive, but the one that I received, I was not expecting. He took that opportunity to ask for inappropriate pictures of myself. Yeah, luckily I was smart enough as a kid to not go through with this act and even remove the dude, but regardless of it getting to this extent or not, people shouldn't use exchanging crowds or mercenary services for favors that weren't talked about prior. I've seen this happen a ton in the comments, and especially amongst female players. In conclusion, I believe out of a majority of communities I've been in, WIZARD101 is one of the best. I met so many friends, and although I met some bad apples in between, the number of good doesn't even really compare to the bad. Realistically and unfortunately, we can expect negative players to be a part of every community, but I feel like it's very easy to avoid these players in WIZARD101, seeing that you're not an active user in the commons or PvP. I personally can't speak on the PvP community as I don't associate with it much, but I don't doubt that's where a lot of the cockiness and negativity stems from. I truly hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys would like for me to discuss any other topics, feel free to leave any suggestions in the comments below, or even just let me know your personal opinion. I'd love to hear it. Again, make sure to show your support by leaving a like, commenting, and or subscribing, and I hope I have the honor of seeing you guys next time. Okay, bye friends!